All right. All right. Welcome, everyone, to this beautiful, is it summer now? Is it officially summer now?
No, not
As of
quite.
today?
Soon.
All right.
Still in spring. It's only April.
All right. Well, it doesn't feel like April.
Yeah, no.
So let's call together our Tuesday, April 14th budget workshop. First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. All right. Thank you, everyone. Next up, public comment. This portion of the meeting is specifically set aside for comments from the public, who are asked to limit their comments to 2 minutes. Any person interested in providing public comment via email should email publicmeetings@rockyhillct.gov prior to 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting to have their public comment read into the record. Do we have any?
I have one public comment.
All right.
It's from David Leal, who did not list his address. I urge the Rocky Hill Town Council to fully fund the education budget and fill the gaps in core services in our town budget that the last administration cut in recent years. I trust it will make worthwhile investments in our community and no longer kick the can down the road with HVAC improvements at Stevens, in the Office of Economic Development, and growing the grand list. Thank you for continuing to hold more public meetings and for your commitment to transparency. David Leal.
All right, thank you. Any members of the public? Seeing none. Moving on, Mona and Ray, you sent out an update, but do you have any other information for us?
Oh, I thought that was exciting.
Actuals, so exciting.
Yes, we've removed the column with the account numbers in there and put year-to-date actuals in there. So it's actually as good as the 1st of April. And also inserted some section on the capital improvement for multi-year. I think we had it by project, but probably wasn't easy to read, so inserted spreadsheet on multi-year for capital.
And she enjoyed doing it.
Immensely.
It was exciting for you? Okay. So you just added that line for actuals and took off the account numbers, but did any of the questions that we had around any of the things that you said were incorrect on there the first time? Did we change any of the numbers anywhere or anything?
No, no, leaving it as is, but that list is still there, and I believe we've got a potential one coming up that could also be an additional reduction. There may be a duplicate in the facilities. It's not their night, but in facilities, if you looked on their part-time, you saw 60,000 appear twice. That should be in custodial only. So we have another 60,000 to go.
All right, keep it up.
Yes, and we still are having positive information about that revenue source, the 220,000. Reading on that, so we should be putting that back in as a revenue source. Won't affect the discussion side on expenditures, but it will help as we try to reduce the mill rate.
All right. Yeah, that's, as far as the numbers, that's what I saw too, looking over the update you sent out. I just wanted to confirm that. And yeah, you are, I would encourage all of the good news to bring. No more additions.
Well, we had one tiny one, right, for Health District,
Yeah.
for $8,000, but I think we're okay. We can handle that.
What was that?
Health District gave their final number in,
It was
which
a little bit
was,
higher?
yeah.
No, not allowed. Too late.
I'm not changing either.
All right, I'm kidding. Sorry, I think it's, the heat is getting to us. All right, so are we just gonna go in order tonight
Yeah.
then? But I understand the health district isn't available this evening.
Correct.
So, starting at the top, probate.
Probate.
Okay. I'll do this one. Let me scroll down. So as you can see, there's no change. This is actually a number that comes from town of Newington that generates this. We have a tendency to get this probably after our adoption. The increases are not large increases, as you can see, over the years, and it's based on grand list driven. So at this point, there will be no change until we get a final notice from Newington.
So you mean it's grand list driven?
We report to Newington what our grand list is. They take their costs and they divide it up over the towns based on grand list, pro rata grand list.
Okay. Anyone, any questions? All right. Thank you, probate. Registrar of Voters.
Just FYI, I have to recuse.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have guests for registrar of voters tonight?
Come on up.
Come on up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you would like me to speak about.
Well, if you see to your monitor to the left to have your goals, if you want to just talk to that, and then when you're ready, I can scroll down to the financial page, the numerical page when you're ready.
Okay, so the first operational effectiveness, increased participation with ROVAC. ROVAC is the State Registrar of Voters Association of Connecticut organization. We have monthly meetings and we have 2 yearly conferences. And yes, we do discuss when the legislature is in session, we discuss what things we would like to see added or changed in the statutes. And so that's an ongoing, all of our goals are ongoing because a lot of what we do is statutory anyway, so most of our goals would be ongoing. Prepare for voting equipment malfunctions by testing, working with SOTS for new equipment. While we, as you all know, we have new tabulators, and the governor just passed a statute saying that we will be putting early voting ballots into the tabulators. Isn't that going to be fun? Yeah, we do work with the Secretary of State in getting our equipment, making sure it's up to date, and we do test all of our equipment, including our machines that are for handicapped people. So again, it's all ongoing. You know, it's something that doesn't have a definitive end to it.
Okay. I'm going to go down to your budget page. Want to do anything on the highlights?
Okay, so we're looking at 2026. Now, this is interesting because 2026 was a local election, so it would stand to reason that we would have more in this year because it's going to be a state and federal election. We have representative up, and you know, we have all of the statutory things in the state, like governor, Secretary of State, you know, all of those offices. So it's going to, we have to have a primary. We don't have to. We are going to have a primary this year because there's multiple people running for the same office, and I'd say it's a 98% chance we'll have primary. So that would be that increase. Speaking to salaries, you all know my view on salaries. I mean, to me, that is a acceptable, that is an acceptable increase. I have no problems. The question I do have is, does this salary indicate an hourly raise for our deputies? That's what I'm concerned about.
Not at this point, because they'd be non-bargaining, we'd put it in after July 1.
Okay,
No.
okay. Otherwise, I have no problems. I don't know if you have any questions for me, but.
Did you want to talk about on the tabulators, the 50,000, we're keeping it at 50?
Okay.
For next year?
Yeah,
In case you wanted to mention that one?
We haven't gotten any notification from the Secretary's office yet on how much that will cost us this year. I suspect it's going to be less than the 50,000 because we already purchased the new tabulators. We have them in-house. We use them twice already. So I would assume that would go down. If you would like, as soon as we find out, Tom and I could let you know what the actual amount would be.
Okay.
Can you repeat what you just said? Sorry. You said they're already purchased,
Yes.
so the 50K were proposed is under the 2026 budget or 2027?
Yeah, did you invoice for those yet?
I don't
I
know
don't
if the
believe you
invoice came
have.
through yet. I will check though, and I'll get that
We're
information
looking
to
at
you.
a timing difference for him
Yeah.
that will go.
Okay.
But then that would still mean we have an extra 50 somewhere.
What's that?
I think, wouldn't that, if we projected it for 26, but we didn't pay it, that'd be a leftover, carryover, correct?
Right, well, if he hasn't invoiced, it will decrease that, and then if it's not the full amount, it'll go to
Right, so
fund
we hope we
balance.
pay the invoice by June 30th.
Yes, absolutely,
Right, and then,
he will.
but we may not need the 50 in the proposed for next year, I think is what Melissa's saying.
Right, that could definitely go down for
Yes,
sure.
he'll update us with that.
Yep, I'll get that, Tom and I will get that information to you as soon as possible.
Could you answer the Register 2? The salary went down? Is that accurate? 25?
No, that's, again, one of these, previously, everything was lumped in as one, and this is trying to separate the two categories, so when you're looking at prior year,
Okay.
right? Okay.
57 and 26.
So an increase of
I got it.
$800, it looks like.
Yeah, and there are increases for that department. They are all non-union, so will come in similar to like the non-bargaining department heads after July 1, and anything that increase comes from contingency.
And
What about the election workers?
I was
That's a
gonna
big increase. Same wavelength.
I think you're saying-
Election
yeah,
workers, again, the election workers this year, we'll have 21 days of early voting, plus a primary day, which is a full, 6 in the morning to late at night, plus an election day. So we're definitely gonna need more election workers than we did last year. So that would indicate an increase in salary. Yeah, not an increase in salaries, but an increase of how many people are working and how many people we need to pay.
And we got reimbursed last year for the election workers?
Last year, the Secretary's office gave every town, I believe it was $10,000, correct?
Yep, 11,
But it doesn't cover a whole lot.
No, of course,
What's
right.
gonna happen this year, we are not quite sure yet. I mean, I can get that information to you when it comes.
No, we had to, remember 2 years ago, we had the discussion about them instituting early voting, but then for the first year offsetting it, but going forward, it wasn't offset, right? So 21 days gets thrown on the
There
town.
may still be money coming to
Right.
us. I don't know how the state budget, what's in the state budget
Sure.
yet, so.
Mona, how much was that grant that came in last year that was expiring, had to be used by December 31st? Did that offset any of the 2026 budget items?
That was the 11,000 that he's referring to.
Oh, okay, all right.
It was 11,005 to be exact, but.
Phil, is there any opportunity for another grant like that?
Yes, we haven't heard from the secretary yet, but we did input some information to her earlier this year, so we're waiting to hear.
Okay.
Well, I think that's based on what the state budget's gonna come out to and what they actually give the secretary's office, you know.
Okay, thanks.
So just to sum up the difference in the cost from the current budget year to the future one, because I totally understand that. I mean, if we're going from essentially 1 day of voting, 3 years ago to 21 days, there's obviously a cost associated with that. But so we bought tabulators last year for 50,000 ish.
Yeah, ish, yeah.
Ish.
Yes.
Have not seen the final
We
invoice.
have them,
Yes,
but
are
they haven't been invoiced and come out of the system yet.
Correct.
But we have another 50,000 for tabulators in this budget.
So far.
Do we need to buy more or?
No,
So-
again,
okay.
that may go down.
So there's somewhere up to $50,000 worth of tabulators that
Right.
are not gonna, we're not gonna have to pay for somewhere.
No, there's maintenance
budget.
fees but I think maintenance will go under a separate category, right?
Yes, that's on your equipment repair, which
Yep.
is a small amount.
Yep,
The
so-
3,000. So you may have some smaller equipment items in there in addition to the tabulator. So I think you could be looking at potentially that in half,
Okay.
maybe 70%.
The software that we use well, I have two questions. One, under the performance measures, it talks about the number of registered voters and the eligible voters increasing by a fair amount from 24, 25, 25, 26, and then next year. Are we really expecting another 1,500 eligible voters in the next year? Or are we just trying to make sure we're budgeted for that possibility?
Well, it's hard to say with the new apartments coming in. That's a difficult.
Okay, so we're just trying to be conservative, assuming that we might have some growth there, but
Right.
did we actually see that amount of growth from 24, 25 to 25, 26?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are actual numbers, yeah.
And then, so to my second point, though, the software that we use for, I forget the name of it. It's the vote tallies. It's I think it's
The
at
poll books is what you're talking.
yes.
Poll books,
or the
yes.
voter checklist.
The poll books, yeah.
Is that built into your cost, or is that under the clerks?
That's built into us. It's, I know we put that in someplace here.
Under technical supplies?
Be within your supplies.
Yes.
So it's been my experience, at least from the outside, that is super old and has a lot of issues. Is there an opportunity to perhaps modernize that?
Okay, so
And what would the cost of something like that?
I would have to find out for you, but I can tell you that there are so let me just give a little bit of background in case someone is not familiar. Poll books are basically our unofficial checklist, which in the old days, we used to have a paper checklist.
Yep.
And they'd have runners every 2 hours going to both the Republican and Democratic headquarters. So the Secretary of State has not approved any poll book as of yet. Many towns do not use poll books. Some of us do. Some of us use different companies. The University of Connecticut has a department whose job it will be to certify a poll book system. They already have certified one actually, and it's the same company that makes our tabulators.
Okay.
I could find out how much that would cost for us to get that software. However, both Tom and I would have to agree on what we want to use, and whether that happens, I couldn't say.
Yeah, and I understand you could spend money up to wazoo for the most amazing system ever or whatever. I just know that from the user experience on the outside, the fact that like even our voting numbers today on the Registrar of Voters website, on our website, are still incorrect. And we are also like the last town almost always to report our numbers to the state. And I don't know if that's under
No, that's not the
poll
poll
book.
books.
That doesn't have anything to do with
is
that?
The night of the election, the head moderator's job is to put all of the results into the state system. Normally, our town clerk is there, and my deputy is there too. So why they're late, we would have to discuss with her, with the head moderator.
I'm just looking for, if this is like a $300 line item somewhere in the budget, and it needs to be like a $500
Yeah,
line
no,
item,
it's
that's
it's
one of
considerably
those
more
things
than that. but-
I would assume. It's being hyperbolic there, but okay. Thanks for that. A little bit of that background. And if there's grants available for updating systems or whatever, of course we always like to use that stuff. But thank you for that info.
Can I ask, because we went back to registered voters and eligible voters, we have registered voters of 17.9 and only 16. What would make somebody ineligible?
Okay, so there are three types of voters in the system. There are active, which like you and I, or anybody here would be active. There are inactive, and there are people that are off. The people that are off would not be in those numbers. It would be registered voters, everybody.
Yeah.
Eligible voters. Jenny, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think the off would be in that number. It would just be inactive, right?
Right,
Yeah, so
because when they're off, they're not on the.
they're gone.
So when they're off, they're not registered,
When they're off, they're
gone entirely.
So in other words, when I print for the election day,
Yeah,
I print an active voter list.
yeah.
The off people, and I print two. I print an active and an inactive. We do not print an off list because
Sure.
it's,
They can't vote, right.
but that's the difference in those numbers.
Alan, can you have him go to the microphone?
And we have to
Yeah,
keep-
Phil, can you please? I'm sorry.
Get the mic.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
can you
sorry.
just use the mic just so
I'm
folks
sorry.
at home and
I'm
stuff?
sorry, yeah.
Nah,
So,
I know you get
I'm around
it's
the
exciting.
corner, yeah. All right, now I'm just trying to understand it, not worth the conversation here. you know.
All right. Any other questions?
For what it's worth, I did want to mention that, as we all know, there have been a lot of changes in the election system over the last half decade, and for every town, it's been a struggle to adapt. And I appreciate how difficult it's been. We're always going to look for ways to do a little bit better, but we appreciate the service that you and your counterpart are putting in.
Yeah, especially now, multiple times a year
Yeah.
for many days. Excellent point. All right. Any other questions, thoughts? All right. Thanks, Phil.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Tax collection. Next up.
Next up is our tax collector, Elaine McKim.
Hello, everybody.
You.
Okay, let me just get my stuff here. Not too much room, huh? Okay.
I'm going to start with my goals. So first we have, I'm going to do staff, which is going to be a priority, continue my education. That will be myself, and I have a deputy. We need 50 hours, and we can do that in 5 years. But like right now, I'm like 40% to keep our certification. I'm a little nervous. Hold on. Let me breathe.
Okay.
Okay. So, and my deputy also, she's got it certified. And so she also needs to go through the certification for 50 hours. So what happens is like, it sounds, 50 hours doesn't sound much because we have 5 years to do it. But we can go to like schooling for like 4 hours, and the state might turn around and just say, that class only was 1 hour. And then if, between the both of us, we have, like, try to do it. There's like, they also have tax conference. We can have 12 hours credits, which is an annual conference. We can do that too. But if something happens and someone's out sick or something happens, we miss that conference, so we're out of that 12 hours. So we have to try to make it up. I also have a technical assistant. She's taking courses right now. Matter of fact, she's on her second course out of the 4 courses to become a certified tax collector. Her test is tomorrow, so good luck. I hope she
She's
passes.
still at home studying right now.
Yep, hope so. She is. Okay, and any questions on that part? Lacrosse. Okay, so the next thing that's I'm going to move down is the cross training, which is a big fan of mine practice. Because when I first started here, it was in my job description to be cross-trained with the assessor's office, which the assessor took me under his wing there and showed us how the tax bill starts in his office and how everything works up to become, to get to the tax bill. So which helped me is that I learned that part. That made me become the tax collector. And we already trained his assistant assessor. He's been trained in my office when he was a deputy. So he's been trained. His new technical assistant, I just actually trained her in my office, which came out really good because I had someone out on leave, extended leave for 6 weeks. She picked it up, was really well. She had banking. She's really good. And next, I have the lady I was just telling you about that's going to school. She is going to be trained next to help out in the assessor's office, which should be working out because she used to be assessor in another town. So that will help us out, for medical leave, military leave. She's also military. Right, so far? Making sure he's not throwing things at me. So that's going to work out. Plus, it's in their job description. So when they are hired, it says, to be cross-trained in each other's office. So it works out so far. Pretty good, I believe. And the next thing is operationals. It's exceed 3 years collection rate, which I believe is supposed to be 99.2. Right now, I'm at 99.08. So shame on me.
Year's not over.
There's still time.
Okay, now you got me out. I'm feeling better. What do you mean, just shaking your head at me? No. So just let you know, hopefully to see, I'm going to be changing, switching over the motor vehicles and the motor vehicle software, supples for the delinquents to our tax service. So I'm going to, hopefully that will get extra money before June, because it's the grand list 2024. So it's going to be all the motor vehicle supples, delinquents. So hopefully they can help us try to find people that moved out of state and stuff like that. Or the people that just don't want to pay. That's a big thing. Yep. And
On that collection rate, you have it for all 3 categories together?
for the 3-year,
Well, each year, right, your real estate accounts, personal property, motor vehicle, right? 99.4% from actual. Was there one area that was we didn't collect a lower percentage than 99.4, in other words?
I think, and the
So like,
back of-
who's the biggest deficiency, the property tax or the car, motor vehicle, or the personal property,
motor vehicles,
by far?
yes,
Okay.
I believe. Because,
And that's the
it's
one
the
you're
2 years where they
proposing?
don't have to pay their taxes for like your registration.
Yeah,
So you'd be amazed, a lot of people are just like, I don't have to come pay my taxes for 2 years,
yeah,
so,
Yeah.
and they won't.
and they
So
won't.
that's, yeah.
Right.
Well, and also you
Or they
can,
moved out of state, that's the
Yeah.
other thing, you know, or God forbid they
Do
pass
they get
away.
reported to a DMV, like, list? Because
Yes.
if
Yes,
you
we do. Yeah.
skip on a parking ticket, you can't re-register.
No, I report them, so like say if the taxes are due August 1st,
Yeah.
and then I wait till like maybe August 4th, just in case. But
You
that-
only give them
the
3
4th
days, that's pretty.
No, because we need our money.
Ninety-nine
That's what I'm
percent.
here for.
That's right.
No, because then I report them to DMV. So what's happening with DMV now, I don't know if you're all aware, that if you don't register your car, you know, if you don't pay your taxes, you can't register your car. But the newest thing is, you can't even renew your license.
That's what, okay, so they have some, which is unfortunately like a 6-year thing or something like that, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, so that's even
We'll
so.
get them eventually. We're gonna be 103 next year.
I hope so, yeah. Or you have to chase people down for the money, so, like, you're aware of that, you see me do that. Like, yep, so,
Actually, just on that note, Elaine,
yes.
so why would you estimate 26, 27 going down versus going up? Like, going from 99.4 to 99.5? I mean, that's a performance measure, isn't it? Why are you going down?
That was it back when we,
It's a 3-year average. So that's actually a calculation that's required in that. So if you look at, on that same page, 22, 23 was a 99.3. So it's what's used to create your tax revenue is a 3-year average. So she can aspire to be 99.8 if she chose. But what's going to drive your calculation for your tax revenue is going to be the 3-year average. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I'm just surprised that it's under performance measure. Because it's really not a lane, it's an average.
Right, her performance measure could be just even greater than that.
Right.
Do you want
Right.
to say 99.8? No, I'm sorry.
99.65,
she's
99.7.
99.65.
I mean, I think there should be some input from her and her department about that.
Yes.
Because it is a measure that I'm sure you would do performance measures, you know, on
Agree.
the employees. So I'm just kind of pointing that out.
Just a quick comment, since we're talking about this in vehicles. Is there a program to check all these apartments out where people aren't register in our town for taxes for these cars? Do you have anything that
Like a company or?
company or your office does it? You go out and determine that these people are in our town now, but they're not paying the property tax for their cars?
Unfortunately, that is, we have that discussion with the assessor. That's, so like for, if I don't mind speaking for you guys, if I'm wrong, let me know. I'm sure he will. We know Stu. But anyways, what happens, like if we go out and there's like people might come, like neighbors say, we've seen this car, just for example, from Florida. They can give us the plate. They'll go to Stuart. Stuart can find out like how long they actually been living there. He can add it to the tax roll.
Okay, so that's his
Yeah.
office.
Also, if there's like unregistered vehicles in your yard, just sitting there, the same thing, report it to the assessor's office, or you can report it to me and I just go report it to the assessor's office. We do it that way.
Okay, thanks. I'll ask him when he comes up.
Yep.
Thank you.
But
Sorry to get you off track.
Sure.
Oh, no, that's good. I mean, I had a question along a similar line. So that's more of, that's like a one person at a time snitching on your neighbors type thing. There's not like a system to try to do that. Yeah.
I know there's one program, there's a company that's out there.
Yeah.
But that again, that,
There's a cost associated with that
Right.
and it's, they're collecting a lot of data and, yeah, but, I mean, Counselor Whalen brings up a good point, though, because we have so many apartments in town.
Correct.
We have, you know, potentially a more transient population, and they might not even be absconding from taxes. They might just be like, hey, I lived in an apartment in Hartford, and now I moved to Rocky Hill, and we're actually going to save them money on their car tax if they did it, but they don't know that they need to change. I mean, it's an area of opportunity, maybe, but I don't know what that system looks like. And I think if you pay a company to do it, they take 30 to 40% of that, of whatever they collect, and it's a whole thing or something. So, yes, anyway, we'll get into that with the assessor.
We'll get him.
Yeah, because I know, like, we spoke to, like, some of the tax collectors, we just had a conference a couple of weeks ago, and they were, like, talking about stuff like that, too, but it falls back, like, that goes with the assessor.
Yep.
Because then he
I'll
has
ask
to do all
him.
the assessment stuff, and then,
Thanks.
It's not you
sorry,
going
sorry, I
out there
can't
and
answer that, but
scratching down all the plates and looking the people up. But I mean, we get, well, in all fairness, the way that it came up is I've heard from police officers in town when they have a car needs to be towed or something, they look it up and they're like, this isn't even registered in town. Like, and they get that a lot at, some of our larger apartment complexes, they say more than half the time that's the case. So.
I do have to say, a little bit on that, is that the police officers that will be out there, I have to say thank you to, if they'll turn around, they pull you over, and they can, they have like those little plate readers, if they pull you over, it's not registered, the police officer will tell them, like, you have to pay your taxes, or you're not gonna get your car, or whatever, so that's a good thing, too. I
Or
appreciate
Lane's
that.
coming for you.
Yes. The amazing things I can do with it. Let me loose. Okay, so now I'm back to my little budget here. The thing that has, if you look down, like I'm just gonna jump down to the postage, has gone up. The reason why it's gone up 1,000, I mean, postage is gonna go up July. It's not gonna be up a lot, but I mean, it will be going up. But I am decided to try to do in-house mailing, because we used to have the QDS, which is our program that does the bills and stuff like that. They got a little costly where I used to have them fold to do delinquents, the demands notice, which I have to send out after the bills by state statute. So like August, I have, QDS does the folding and does that stuff because it's such a enormous amount of demands. We can't do that in the office. But like in September, we can have it in there. So what happens, actually, this $3,000 is in-house. I use the meter upstairs. And so what we do, now you just think I just collect bills, but we actually send out like intent to liens when you don't pay. So I have to send out, the notices. Demand notice, it sounds like rough, but it's not. It's just for me to say, it's demand, we're asking you to do this so I can take my next steps. So we have stuff like that that goes out. A lot of returns. We probably have about 1,000 returns that comes that we have to try to do our skip tracing, find the new address, we're doing that with Accurate and stuff like that. And then we send out the new bill. Because if it comes back to the post office, sometimes we have the little yellow little thing that says their new address, we can do that. So that's costly. So when that comes back, it's like we send it, it's like 74 cents. So that's why that's up.
Elaine, quick question. If we talk about people moving in from a different town, right? Say they had a lease that they signed 12 months ago at Kelson Row, right? They never registered their car in Rocky Hill. Where we can get that tax, that retroactive tax, or no?
Unfortunately, as of October 1st of the grand list year, if you were registered, like I'll just say, if you were registered in Avon as of
Yeah.
October 1st, 2024, but you moved here in November,
Yeah.
as of October 1st, you would be paying
Okay, let's say you
Avon.
moved in September.
In September, if you changed it with DMV,
Well, let's say you didn't change it.
then it goes to the town that you were in, or if the assessor finds out, or we can find out, we can add it to the grand list year, and we can add it that way, and then we can,
Retro.
correct. It goes back, you have to, the
Okay.
time they moved in.
Okay, sorry.
Just want to step on these toes. Okay,
All right. Anybody else? Good? All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. And good luck to your colleague on their test tomorrow.
Yes.
Next up is town clerk.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of the Town Council. My name is Sandy Willaba, and I'm the Town Clerk. And I'll be presenting my budget to you tonight. So I guess the first thing we're looking at is my goals, right? Which I don't see. Are they up there?
I think that's the only one you have, Sandy. I'm so sorry. I think
got?
Sandy had about 10. I'm not sure why you got one.
Well, those are my goals.
You're
I'm really
like-
optimistic I'm going to do all this stuff, so, you know. We try to maintain training and communication with ourselves and the registrars because things change so quickly. We also try to make sure our assistants are trained and get all the training we can get. Another one of my goals was to make sure all our land records were available online. And some of the larger books that are very large, very heavy, I couldn't get images of. So they're indexed, but now I have a grant and I'll be able to bridge that information and save my shoulder a little more, work on it. Trying to think if I have another one, but I'm sure they're there. The only thing I can tell you about my budget is everything is by state statute. We don't do anything without the state approving it. What we charge is by state statute. The quality of our paper is by state statute. Our binders are by state statute. Everything we do is kind of a small pool of vendors when you have to get certain grade paper, reg content, foldability, rippability, something that's going to hold up for years for archiving. So we're kind of at the mercy of all our vendors. When they raise their prices, we have to go along with it. We can't just go to another vendor because there's not too many out there. And the same with our books. So that's probably a reason why a lot of the stuff is starting to increase. Our software assurance is increasing. Not too many vendors do the indexing either. So we have, I think, 5 vendors, and that's all you have. So you have to find a vendor that's going to give you everything you want. Let me see what else we have. Are there any questions you want to ask while I'm...
Along some of those lines, for the election, the printing, is that the most economical, the way you do it now, is that the most economical way of doing it?
That's correct. All our ballots have to be approved by the Secretary of the State. So when we get them printed out, all the fonts have to be the same size, and they measure. And they make sure that the darkening toners are all the same, so everything has to be done by state statute.
Okay.
We have one very good vendor, which we go with. They're local, so we use them. And they're very consistent with knowing what the requirements are.
Okay.
Now, this year, I think, is our first year of having no excuse absentee ballots, so we don't know if we're going to have more early voting or more people taking out ballots for absentee. Sometimes they go to both. They'll request a ballot in the mail, and we'll send it out for $1, and then they show up for early voting.
Just one thing for Ray and Mona, I just want to go back to performance measure again, and I just, for some reason, I don't know if I asked this last year or whatever, it's really not performance measures for the recorded items, because it's going to happen. People are going to come in and record items. It's not something that is, it's there.
It's like activity measure.
Right,
almost.
it's activity measure. One thing I would probably suggest thinking about is certain criteria within somebody coming in and some process, the time it takes to do a process, or cutting down on paperwork or something that's not statute-driven. Things like that are measurable,
Right.
instead of just people coming in for a permit or whatever. And,
We got to sell more dog licenses, though.
yeah, exactly.
Right. We can't do the next town over, so we have to just do our own. So we can't do the sharing of, services like that. I can't record their documents. we're kind of very limited.
Now, if you had, let's forget about budget limits. Have you seen anything in other towns that are very efficient, that if you had the money to purchase that process to make it efficient here, is there anything that stands out that you could think of?
No,
Nothing?
Nothing. We all do the same jobs, we all use pretty much the same vendors. We're all held to when we have to file reports. Everything we do has to be reported back to the Secretary of State.
Okay, all right, thanks.
And your professional services there, did any of them jump out you with a big increase? There's increases, but I don't know what went up so much.
Salaries I know are up, and I think I added a little bit extra for, I know our general code also, I added extra. General codes are a vendor for our ordinances and charter, and every 10 years you're supposed to open the charter and take a look at it. We are at that point now of taking a look at our charter and seeing whether we want to change anything. So if a change is made at this department, every supplement I have to pay extra for. And I never know how many ordinances we're going to pass in a year. I don't know what we're going to be doing. So I try to add a little extra there.
But we're up 26% in overall for your professional services. I mean, I don't think you added that much.
That would be the increase of the microfilming of documents. Every map and everything gets microfilmed, went from 0.05 to 0.08. Our audit of our land records, every land record we do, we have them audited by state statute. That also went up from $1, I think, to $1.05, and we never know how many documents we're going to get. My general code went up $100 on that for the software assurance. The other two are stayed stable. And I think that's the only things that changed. But we never know how many documents we're going to record, so I don't know how many we're going to audit. We don't know how many we're going to have to be microfilmed. We don't know how many are going to have to be stored, or how many rolls we have to store. So you're kind of like guessing as to how many documents per month.
Hey, I see a line item for software assurance updates for 3,000. Is that, what updates cost $3,000 to that? Can you explain that one?
The one that went up with 200 was the general code. Is there another one you're looking at, the software assurance?
Yeah, that one.
Actually, I think the area you're looking at, I don't see any prior charges for.
No, there
But it's
any-
rolled up into those service contracts, so
But even if, yeah,
budgeted 8,445 last year, so it's a 2,300-ish increase.
which, by the way, the actual is only 3,000. I'm assuming they're gonna come in, Mona, right? Like, there
Oh,
goes
yes.
the mandatory question.
She gets a lot of the year-end invoicing
Okay,
when it's a total.
yeah. So, so we're going from 8,400 to 10,700.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a quick observation. Your assistant makes more than you overall? Is that accurate? How's that work?
I don't know. I have a master's degree and 30 years' experience. I don't know. That's
Is she more senior than you?
just in the town, but I've got more experience from 1993 to present in the field,
It's unusual.
and a master's degree in management.
Okay.
Union
Thanks.
position, I guess. That's the only thing we say. They're union.
Well, and I'll also mention again, Sandy would be non-bargaining, so her increase is not going to show. So once we go through the process, that will not stay that way. Yeah, so the assistants are in the bargaining unit and are going to get their steps, and they're contractual, and she will get hers after July 1 with through the contingency.
Perfect, thank you.
I mean, not to dwell on it at all, but the gap between the two seems to be relatively small. I mean, personally, I'd like to see that parity at least created right there, regardless of what the
Okay.
way to do it is, at minimum.
Getting back to the ballots, is there, I know in some states they have a method, or you can track absentee ballots. Do we have anything like that in Connecticut?
They were putting something at one point, but it confused everyone because you'd go to the Secretary of State and find out where your ballot was. But then people were confused as to how it really read because we send everything out within 24 hours. We have to. But we're having problems with our mail, a lot of problems.
So let's say if I were away and I want to put in an absentee ballot, I can't find out whether you got it or not.
You can check, I think, with the Secretary of State, see whether it's been
Secretary of
issued.
State.
I think they might have a tracking device, or you can always contact us. But once we get the application, date stamp it in, we get the ballot ready, and we send it right out the same day.
So I can check with you, you would have my name checked off, so if I
Yes.
check with you, you would say
Yes.
yes, or we didn't receive your ballot, and I can.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
But again, the mail has not been very good. Yeah, I'm not sure whether they take it from Rocky Hill. I don't know why they don't, if it's a Rocky Hill person, just keep it in Rocky Hill and deliver. It goes off where, Springfield or somewhere?
Yes, it's
They come all the way
ridiculous,
back?
yeah.
You don't have like a box.
Yeah.
That's efficient.
There's a central hub in Springfield that I am, only from doing some marketing related things, recently found out most of the mail heads up there before it comes back to us.
That's crazy.
Efficient.
And I would just to circle back real quick, I asked from the registrar's office, is there anything better that we can do around technology when it comes to voting, reporting,
Nope.
or anything?
This is everything the Secretary of State tells us we could do. They picked out the tabulators, they tell us how to do it. We have 2 new programs coming in, Total Vote, ES&S. We don't know how that's going to work. But everything is regulated by the Secretary of State.
So then what is the hangup on election day of putting out results?
That's the moderator.
Okay, that's where the bottleneck is?
That's the moderator.
Doesn't have to do with the poll book we use or
Nothing to do with the poll books at
any
all.
of the
No,
technology
Because they
or
have the
anything? like-
counters up here, they run the ballots through, they get a tape off the tape.
Yeah.
She takes the tape, she enters it into the computer. The last and the hardest part is that 8 o'clock, check in the box. If we didn't have that box open on election day, it would be great. But there's always someone that puts a ballot in the box. So 8 o'clock, I go out there, and they're trying to wrap up upstairs.
You mean the box outside? Okay,
My favorite one.
yeah. And then it's just,
Yeah, then
Yeah.
they run everything through a tabulator, she gets the tape off, and then she has to sit down and start entering into the computer. That goes directly to the Secretary of State, as far as I know, within 24 hours. That EMS system we have.
okay.
So I don't know why it doesn't reflect that we have our returns, and that's, I look at the same thing, and I said, well, where is it? I'm
Yeah.
not sure, because she's inputting, I know she takes tapes home with her. Sometimes we're here at 2 in the morning, which is
The
crazy.
tape takes the tapes home with her?
Yeah, huh?
Is that how that works?
Oh, that's the way this moderator works. I know.
Sorry.
All right, we might have opened a can of worms,
I
but,
know.
I am not sure somebody's supposed to be taking that.
so,
We're trying to get another one. Did I say that?
no, I just, because obviously it's something we've all experienced on election day where halfway through the day, things still aren't updated, and then that evening, it takes hours. These big cities with multiple
With
voting
52
locations
districts.
are all saying, oh, declaring winners and all of this stuff, and we're waiting for the clock to turn, and then the next
Right.
day, the numbers still aren't in, and nobody,
Well, we were done with absentee ballots at 11 o'clock in the
That's what we
olden
were
days.
told, I remember.
yeah.
And then they would run to the polls, and they'd open the back of the machine, and they'd read off the numbers, and we had results.
Yeah.
Now we have tabulators.
Now we have a machine that counts it, and it takes
right?
longer.
And we don't seem to, I mean, like I said, everything is going the wrong direction. I'd rather go back to the levers, but
I mean,
Might be
they
better
really
if
were
the
satisfying
Early
to
voting is going to
poll.
go through tabulators right away, so that might speed things up a little bit, because those numbers should already be, hopefully.
well, I hope.
Well, it seems like every year we're
Yeah,
figuring it out again.
I know. Every year you
Okay.
get everything in a
That's-
row, and you have everything counted, and then you come up with a different number. You said, how does she come up with a different
We
number?
had the wrong numbers last year were reported.
Who picks the monitor? Where does that monitor come from? Is it-
The parties pick her. She's directly responsible underneath the registrars. I have no say.
So is she I don't know, I apologize for not knowing this. Is she specific to Rocky Hill, or she's a
She lives in
moderator
Rocky
for?
Hill, so she's a moderator chosen by the registrars.
I was just asking, who is our moderator?
Have to agree,
Monitor.
and that's,
Well, we're usually busy. We're
If you
busy
can
on
do
those
that.
days, so.
Again, apologize for reaching into another department that we're already talking about, but as far as you know, is this a choice every single year, a fresh choice of moderator, even if it's the same person?
We have the same person. We have one.
But every year, there is a process of they decide, they notify on some level that
Right.
they've made this decision.
They have to agree, and if
Yeah.
they don't agree, then you're basically defaulting to the person that you have, and that's
But,
what's happening.
but just to go back around full circle, tapes going home. Okay? Okay.
All righty.
So Alan, do you have any more, technology advice for them?
I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Metal detector at the door.
You could stop asking if they need technology.
Yeah, that's enough. I think that's enough. All right. Anybody else have any questions, though, for the clerk's office? Awesome. All right. Thank you much. Thank you, Sandy. Finance and accounting.
No.
You,
You'll have
are
to
you
listen to
are you
the-
bringing all the money home with you?
I couldn't carry
You're
it.
bringing the invoices home.
I'm sorry. My word. Actually, I think we have the assessor next.
We're
No, finance.
skipping you.
Did I skip somebody? Okay.
Okay, I'll go first then. Sorry, Stuart. I was reading my book, not the agenda item. Okay, finance.
Calisthenics.
That would be me. So yes, we've got a few goals here. First one is going to be monitoring and tracking reserves. Ideally, we will go back and recreate our level of reserves for funding future projects. I know we started off and we kind of backed away from it for this current year, but definitely a project that should be followed and brought back to life during this budget process. Of course, we'll continue to maintain the S&P AA+. At this point, we don't have any immediate plans for doing any bonding, but there's a potential in the next year or so to do something with that, whether it be a land acquisition and actually maybe finishing up some of the other projects. GFOA award, look at that one, 80%. We've got the audit and going for the award for budget, continuing that. Also, along as the, for the GFOA, receiving those two awards, and now the next aspect is going to be focusing on the performance, which are these tables that I'm looking at right now, to be monitoring these, and as well as improving our presentation on CIP. And of course, upgrading and streamlining. As you can see, there's always something being upgraded or streamlined in the land of finance and actually operations. Probably departments don't want to see me anymore because I always want to automate something or find a better, quicker way. But that's what I do.
Mona, on the AA+ Standard and Poor's, what's the highest rating? Is it AAA+?
Triple, yeah, plus, yeah. We're not there yet.
Still,
But we've had AA+ for, gosh, over 20 years. So the goal is to keep it. We were actually, I don't know if you remember the discussion, that we were actually teetering on losing that and dropping down a level because we were doing things like not keeping the fund balance, not doing reserves. So, yes, and obviously not funding the pension properly. So we may actually need this year to keep ourselves in a nice stable ground.
What do we have to do for triple?
If we get to our fund balance at about 10%, you're going to be looking at something like that. You really need to show that you've got a solid fund balance, that you are planning for the future, and we're going in that direction, but we just aren't there yet. But I think we've got the potential of being there. I'm optimistic.
We need GE to come in.
AA is still a pretty good battery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Like that? Yeah. Okay.
I didn't hear him. As for the budget page for finance, we've got some slight increases. Obviously, we've got the audit services. That's got an increase in. We will be either coming forward to finance for an extension or an increase for that contract. We are covered through the end of this fiscal year. Software slightly up. We put a lot of dollars into the ClearGov, trying to get this itemization and the detail information about salaries and tying it into the budget. So there shouldn't be any more increases. Actually, the 20,000 for next year could be less because they was very ambitious for this current year and took on all modules at once. This was going to be a staged out process. The software costs will continue. It's the implementation. So we could have a cushion of probably about $5,000 because I just went and did the implementation of all modules at once. I don't know if I'll do that again, but I will. I know I will. And other than that, I think slight increase for dues and subscription. I have a new town treasurer, as well as my assistant, and we are keeping up with certifications, so they'll need memberships with GFOA. So we've got a slight increase in that to keep them all certified. So for finance.
So what's the increase in services that we're getting from ClearGov? Like, what's the difference now that we're using that we weren't before, or that we're planning to use?
Right. So originally it was ClearGov, which was the basic, which has created the budget from last year, which didn't have all the itemized point. I'm pointing in the air. I might as well point here. It would not show the positions tied into the budget or give us the flexibility to report more detail within our line items. Was an additional module. Also, those are actually two. One is to itemize and be more flexible in the document. The second one is to tie your wages and salary tables from your financial system into this budget document. So that was the second. The third module is the strategic planning, which is what is creating the bar graphs, as well as what's going to become that monthly software that the town manager can use and say, how are you doing, department head, on your goals and progressing forward. So there were 3 modules within there implemented. And that's going to be for next year to just keep them maintained will be just shy of the 15,000. That 20 included implementation of strategic plan, but I just went with it.
So building in those 3 systems costs about $15,000.
Correct.
Okay.
The 184 now, do we have much left for the remainder of 2026 fiscal?
No, there should just be some final installment payments to the auditors. Actually, I think Tyler Financial has another installment. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, could you just go over how the raise percentage is at 5%?
Oh, on the salaries.
Salaries, yes.
So myself, the first one is non-bargaining. You've got 2 bargaining units involved there. The next 2 are in the clerical union. I think they're one of the last groups that were doing 3.8% increases. And the last one would be the treasurer, who will go with the MEUI contract, but being new is getting a step. Remember the
Steps.
3 or 4 years.
Why do we have to replace the treasurer? Just what happened to the old treasurer? Retired?
Oh, yes, yeah.
I just sometimes
We
see that as
replaced
an
him.
opportunity to reset the salary a little lower at times, you know?
It starts at about like 130 is the beginning. So,
Yeah. Okay.
It's been about 2 years, yeah.
So are all of these basically contractual?
Yes.
Anybody else? Anything else? All right. Thank you, Mona.
Next Central.
Central Services.
I guess that's me. Oh boy, my mouse is acting a little silly here. Help me. There we go. No, we're not. Hold on. I'll put it in my notebook. My mouse doesn't want to drive. There we go. Oof. All right. No goals in Central. Central is actually the category that's basically, as it's described, will do things that are software or materials, postage, things that are basically purchased for departments. For example, I think for our maintenance contracts, we've got time clocks and postage machines. We've got the central postage machine. To everything that's going through is coming out of this department. Office supplies, we do large purchases for all of the copy paper or your basic pens and pencil type things. Office equipment can be anywhere from a new calculator to a new chair, anything within the offices in the building. I'm going to go back up to fees for the purchase services. If you can see, like year to date right now, it is at a negative. What goes through this particular line is because we do, I'd say a good volume, well over $1 million of our purchases through the credit card with the bank, that they give us a credit back for fees. Rather than charging fees, so they give us the incentive. So this is the incentive on the books, and then what we end up during the year is having a very minimal expense. What that ringing is. So that's what's referred to as these e-checks. We also have the GPS, which is a small amount. The new item in here, and this is literally a new item to think about, we've had discussion about our online ability to report a pothole. I have a broken mailbox, the street light is out, whatever the item may be. And we do have it on our website. This item here called Click and Fix is Civic Plus, who is the vendor that is overseeing what we're doing, has kind of given us quotes on this. And what that does is it makes it an app on your phone. So if you're driving down the street and it'll show you the coordinates. We've done presentation with staff. It's a wonderful package. It's like the place to be. Don't know if this is a year to do that, but it's definitely something that will bring us, as we talk about automation, this is that step of automation that you may want to think about. And it is completely web-based. It will email the Public Works Director. Here I am driving down the street. There's a pothole. I've got my app. There's my picture. There's my GPS coordinate, and it emails to them. Wonderful package.
Maybe not the best idea to do while you're driving, but...
We got a red light. Right?
Maybe that's why I got a flat tire.
I mean, what's the cost of that?
So that is the increase. There is basically a $20,000 expense, and that
Is it a
would be
one-time fee? Or is there a monitoring?
There will be the initial setup. So the following year would probably be more like 15. So you're going to have setup and install. So this will be the largest you'll see. The following years it will decrease. Well, if there's such a thing.
Until it continues to go up.
Well, we're gonna have a lot of
Computer over
overtime
there,
with
back
our
there, guys.
Public Works.
How do you think that's going to be a benefit to our town? I mean, that's a real big expense. How's it benefiting us? Then somebody calling in saying there's a pothole here. something like that.
Well, I think it's just making it more, user-friendly. Like I said, I think there's people that still want to call in and leave the message, and the person is doing that. So I think it's, maybe our society is becoming more phone app-driven, and if we made that available, I think we would definitely see the benefit. You may be getting more feedback from the public.
I think the theory is it would be a quicker response. That's the theory. If you can just somehow on your phone, click it, sends to somebody, and it gets there quicker and maybe a better response. But, that.
Like I said, this may not be
yet
the
to
year for
seen.
it.
Yeah, may not be worth the $15,000-$20,000 right now.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sure, is it something we need, or is it something we're wishing for, or,
I'd put it on the wish side.
Okay, thanks.
I definitely like the idea of increasing the technology we use to make it easier for residents to participate in even those types of ways, functional ways of letting us know where there are issues we need to deal with. I fear that if we were to spend this kind of money to get into a platform, what kind of money are we going to spend to promote the platform, to get into in front of the eyeballs of our residents that this is now as effective as it is, in the same way? And I only say that because there's often, there is definitely a population out there that would use a platform like this, but getting them to it, as a regular day-to-day use, I wonder if we might want to consider how we're going to go about communicating it, and if there's a need for resources in order to do that properly. Because it maybe not, but I wonder.
And second thing, what's benefit we can get out of this?
Well, I think you already mentioned that
Yeah,
there's potentially an efficiency benefit if those receiving messages from the system are then acting on them, and in theory faster than they would with another form of communication.
But how many people are going to use this?
That's an
The
unknown.
main thing, that's the.
We
And
don't
by the
know.
way, would it be, well, you mentioned potholes as an example. Are there other examples that this would play a role?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it can make it as big and robust as you needed it to be. It can connect to other departments. It can be a
No, it's
townwide.
just like, because for example, we have some state roads that they could report that, and it doesn't mean anything to us, because
But
we.
at least you've
by
got
the
it
way,
set
our
up and it'd
roads-
say, please
yeah.
call DOT. I mean, that's kind of,
It
it's
could be any,
GIS
trash,
driven. Yeah.
barrels broken, or
Not my road.
dropped a bunch of trash by the railroad tracks or something.
In your research about the platform, I'm wondering, it has the ability to do automated responses based on particular inputs that come in?
Yes.
So something like that, where if we designate what roads that people ask about, if they are state roads, we give them the best information we can. Here's
Exactly
the
what
contact
it
number
does.
at DOT, ask for this person, that sort of thing.
Right.
Okay.
Or put a big, button or something on the front page to say, report issues, click here, and it's just like a form they could submit as opposed to an app. I think just something.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, we do have that on the webpage. You can do that on the webpage. It's
What we
really
have needs
app.
to be enhanced a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
We have to
do that
expand the
instead.
categories.
Yeah, I think there's certainly benefits to it in that it creates less work for residents to participate, to point something out. It could be addressed quicker. It's just a question of, do we want to spend that much money on it, and is there that big of a return on it?
Well, I think what might help is, Mona, I'm not sure who's in charge of doing this project, but maybe in the next 5 weeks, we get like a short presentation, sort of the one that the staff received.
Okay.
Just so we understand it and its full potential, just so we can kind of digest whether it's worth it this year or holding off.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'd like to see the efficiency on the town worker side, by the way, get a benefit. I mean, I clearly want to give the residents benefits, but you mentioned wish list, but if it makes it more efficient on our side, then maybe there's a good reason to do it anyways. But we're 15,000 a year after it too, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and who knows? And to Councilor Van Luling's point, we can spend money on it, but if nobody knows it's there, I mean,
Right.
we've got an app already.
I mean, in
that-
theory, just having a process here on the council to talk about it a little bit over time and maybe involve some public comment on it and get a sense of what are the things people want to be able to do quickly and easily.
Yeah, I think just that type of thing, like a list of what it does,
Right,
too.
yeah.
Like, okay, potholes, we got that, mailbox.
Yeah.
Signs that are down, trash. what are-
Dangerous limbs coming off of trees near roads or sidewalks. I mean, there are, we could brainstorm and having that type of process possibly help to communicate it
And
a
part
little
of,
bit.
part of public works, we have bulky trash pickup and those type of things. Does that be something you can? Yeah.
true.
Anyway, so that's good.
Just a question about the advertising, Mona, if you don't mind.
What was that?
The advertising budget. In 2025, you were 4,700. 2026, we went to 10,000. Why was there such a significant increase? Do we know?
It's not necessarily it's an increase. I really think that we had it at 10. We're bringing it down to 8. Probably, in all honesty, you could go a little bit further. We're doing a lot of, any of our advertising is usually, for the bids or legal notices. We have gotten to the point we've done a lot of our advertising. Everything else is online, so
Right.
these are those items that you have, by law, you have to put them in. You have to put it in the paper for the legal ads or public hearings and some of the advertised
The
bids.
RFPs,
So,
projects, state projects.
I think because it's consistently going around that 4,000, 5,000, I think within reason, you could probably bring it a bit more and live comfortably.
For what it's worth, the state legislature is looking at ways to change that. We may, in fact, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but in the next couple of years, we may see a change in statute that allows us to post almost all of this online primarily, instead of having those in physical advertisements. So for now, we kind of have to look at this as a real thing, but it might not be there in a little bit.
Yeah, and those charges are going up, like it's like $150 to put one of those in pop, so it's not
Yes.
cheap. I do them for my stuff too, so.
We talked about some of the efficiencies working with the Board of Ed on possibly buying supplies and whatnot. Do you think there would be cost savings if we went to the same vendors and for this area?
There may be.
There's discussion for that.
I think that's definitely a good point. I think at least to even see something like the copy paper, if we
Yeah.
did that one as a combined, I have no objection to giving that one a try. Yeah, trying to think of things that we might have in common.
Maybe that's the way to go after it, though, just individual items that are larger purchases we do in a year for each side, but common. Yeah. I like that.
Have we always had this section in the budget?
Oh, yeah.
The central supplies, has this always been in there? Okay. So is there anything else that we can kind of have under one point that does this ordering? The only thing that I look at that kind of everybody has, but is not under here is like uniforms. Like we have a lot of departments all have their logoed polos and all of that stuff, but that's all in their own individual budgets. Is that something that we want to try to order uniformly from the same people to get economies of scale?
Uniformly. I don't know, you kind of made me giggle. Yes, yes, perhaps.
Uniforms.
There may be some. I think, obviously, our largest uniform line items tends to be like the fire and police, which would be
They might have a
unique,
different,
but-
that's a different thing. And they have a stipend for that and stuff like that.
Yeah,
as
we
part of
can
their
look
bargain.
at the
I think so.
departmentally, the town hall departments, as opposed,
Right.
except for the police and maybe the highway guys.
Okay, so it is in one place other than those guys? Is that
No,
what you're
right,
saying?
at this point, it is in other places. We can,
So everybody does their own ordering for stuff? I mean, the same as copy paper, the same as printing and postage, I would think,
yeah. We did
for
try
imprint
the,
or whatever.
yeah, we tried phones and copiers, but that turned into kind of just a paper nightmare. I think rather than putting it together, it was just like too much. I almost needed a new clerical person just to look at that phone bill. So it was, and splitting it up. So, but we centralized it into IT, which you get to see in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Same lines as that, do you have like a dry cleaning budget for different departments, or how's that work? Do they, or they don't?
They don't
They don't
even,
clean 'em? Other than the police guys?
no, not much of a cost.
The money back.
Stuart's like, what are you talking about? I've been writing that off for years.
No, for the uniform, if they have a uniform.
He's like,
Yeah.
I want
I might need that in my budget.
I did have a question. Department heads, when they go out for whether it's uniforms or other logoed items, things like that, are they limited on the vendors that they're allowed to go with? Like, do we have preferred vendors that they're supposed to go with, or can they go out and seek out a cheaper alternative, et cetera, et cetera?
They can seek out, definitely. I actually had one department, won't say who, that actually said, I think I found a better idea and came out with a large oversized emblem, but it was a better price.
Awesome. That's what I would highly encourage, just, folks that are purchasing things by department, if they want to go and take a quick Google to past what their initial vendor is, might find something. I know I have.
They are using the best vendor.
I know. I mean, I'm sure the way that it is now, a lot of the departments have their, uniform budget or what they get a certain set of, money for that, but and they can probably just try to do as much as they can with finding different vendors, not going to LL Bean or Land's End or whatever, but going to, Foreign Print or something. But just, I don't know. If it was in one place, I would think we'd be able to do economies of scale for ordering.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Now, assessor.
The main event.
Yes. You're batting closer tonight. Is that a thing? I don't know. I haven't played baseball in a while. Is it? Cleanup. That's what it's called. Batting cleanup.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have entrance music for these department heads,
Make their own.
just like wrestling.
For those of you who don't know the town assessor, this is Stuart Topliff. He's our town assessor. Say hi to Stuart.
Hi, everybody. I like that uniform thing, because I don't have any of that in my budget.
You don't have a uniform.
You got yellow
That's
vests.
not a uniform.
We have our reflective vests. We don't wear that through them very quickly because, but, we stand out when we're out there. Very important for us, people to see us. So they don't
Everybody
think-
knows you, Stuart. You stand out well.
I can't, I was in Home Depot the other day.
With the vest on?
No, I was on my time and somebody approached me and I'm like, oh. And then they said, oh, I live in Rocky Hill. Can you answer a question for me? I'm like, sure. I'm like, don't know who that was, but, they obviously knew who I was. So, but anyway, I'm here for my budget. I have these goals, they're there. But our goal is to get the grand list done and everything that needs to do with the grand list every year on time. That's with all the property inspections we do with the permits and all that. But we do more than that. Just today we mailed out 362 income and expense forms that are due to be mailed out no later than tomorrow to all the commercial properties in town. They will receive them within the next couple days and they have to be returned by May 1st. At the beginning of the month, I filed the M37 with the state and the MME report. At the end of this month, I have to file the M13 and the M13A with the state. At the end of June, I have to file the M42, which is the homeowners tax relief program. And at the end of July, I have to file the additional veterans report. These are all applications and stuff we take in throughout the year and process to get reimbursement for the state. One of my goals in there this year is to audit all our homeowner applications. We used to get 100% reimbursed from the state for that. We get zero. We get zero now. And that's been for a number of years. And we want to make sure that because it's a direct cost to the town now and not a pass-through, we're making sure that everybody that's on that program is entitled to be on that program. That's one of the things we're doing now. Overall for the budget, my budget is, for the most part, contractually obligated. Between our software, our wages, the only two things that are not contractually obligated is continuing education, which I have a staff member who's going to classes to become certified, and then Brendan and I both have to do continuing education, which that allows us to stay on top of the latest technology so we can bring it back to the town to become more efficient and do our jobs better. But those are the only two things in our budget that are not contractually obligated. If you notice on our, let's see, the state changed the law on how we value motor vehicles. And in turn, our state assessors association changed the vendor in which we use to get the values for those motor vehicles, which dropped the cost of our technical supplies by several $1,000s just by changing the software vendor. So you'll see that decrease in that. So that's 10,000 foot view.
You have it, can you explain the drop in salaries again? Maybe I missed it.
I missed it too.
If you don't
You're
mind, I'm
taking,
going to,
Are you taking less this year? That's pretty good.
taking less?
no.
I had a really good quote earlier.
You did. I'm going to let you have your quote, but if I can, yeah, if you look at this, there were 4 positions in that department. The recommendation from management is to reduce 1. I believe this newfangled software decided when 1 left, they were going to prorate that person's salary to everybody.
Oh, it went
So, no, no offense, but Stuart did not get 170. The 140 will be his non-bargaining. So, in this case, I'm going to say, please disregard that section.
Oh, I like that.
It's not going to happen for you. And the 26, 27 is correct. The decrease is 1 assistant position. Like tax collector was mentioning about the shared between the 2 departments. And Stuart, if you'd like to use your quote.
Oh, okay. Donald Rumsfeld, back in 2003, once said, you don't go to war with the army you want, you go with the one you have. And that's what we're going to do.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you.
Did technology help you that way, by the way? Not with the quote, with your
No, we leverage everything we do to be as efficient as possible, and we do leverage technology. Like the pictometry helps us out quite a bit. Like for instance, somebody in town decided to put a 400 square foot addition on their house without a permit this year. And because we were reviewing EagleView, because it's no longer, it's EagleView, we found it and appropriately assessed them. Zoning uses it. There's so much more that particular, we use quite a bit, because there's things that, if it's not in our normal schedule of visiting and they don't have a permit on it, we're not going to find it. So this finds it.
Got it.
And then we just see it, and then we go out and say, yep, okay, yeah, it's there. And then we assess it, and it more than pays for itself, just for our office. Never mind the other offices that use that particular,
So, yeah, just out of my own curiosity, so is that automated? Is it mostly automated? Like it notices that there's a change, or do you just periodically review and you note it, your office notices it?
EagleView has a product that they actually compare. For instance, last week, you may or may not have seen an airplane flying overhead, fairly low. They took a picture of the town of Rocky Hill, and now they're in the process of comparing this year's photo with last year's photo. And then sometime in June or July, we'll get that information and we'll be able to look at it.
So like you get a list and it says, oh, by the way, this house is now 20% larger.
Nope, we get a picture with a rectangle and it has a color, and we go picture by, well, not picture, but frame by frame, and it'll show us where the changes are. Last year, there was like 700 and something changes to
But
properties.
it directs you to, but basically it gives you that picture. It doesn't have you going into like a map that you scroll, zoom
Nope.
around, and nothing like a
It-
Google Maps.
What it'll do is, it's already identified them, it's indexed them, and all you have to do is hit the button and it'll take you to right through each change.
Okay.
And then all we have to do is with our Canvas system, sit there and say, hey, do we have that or not? And if we have it, great. If we don't, then we add it.
If we don't,
You know, because generally if someone does one thing, they're doing more than one thing. You know, and you know,
Yeah, it
we
doesn't-
discover quite a bit while we're out there that's done without permits. And if it's something more than a shed or a patio or something, we let the building department know, hey, like that addition, hey, building department, we found this. You know, so.
Stuart, on a different note, you had mentioned something about not receiving state reimbursement, or the state stopped reimbursing. How does the communication flow for our state reps to advocate for that particular instance? I mean, who raises the red flag that the money stopped coming in? We need to get it back.
That stopped like 2014. And, you know,
Maybe it was it something that maybe it was originally reimbursed and it had a
oh, yeah.
sunset?
No. During Daniel Malloy's administration, the state of Connecticut was in a dire financial situation, and the things that they decided to, and, you know, this is across the state, it's not Rocky Hill specific. But it's a state of where our property tax is they cut all these state reimbursed programs to balance the state budget and didn't cut the program from the law. So we have to still provide the program, but we no longer get the funding from
I
it.
mean, can you theoretically create a list of programs that are no longer being paid that are still required?
I have that list, and I've provided it to, I think, the last 3 administrations. I can provide it again.
Can you do it again to
Sure,
give it to Ray,
absolutely.
and then maybe you can forward it to the council, and we can
I'd
at
like
least
to make
follow
sure I
up?
see that too.
Yeah, it's probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I'll update it based on the most current information.
Because we don't hear things like this. Like, it's a required program, it's a statutory requirement, and then they stop paying. And it's just, we gotta.
And yes,
gotta
the
stop
public
that.
never hears about that, and
Yeah.
it's awful.
Right.
Because when someone sits there and, complains about the 9 of you, about the property tax, I sit there and don't complain about them. They didn't do it. These things happened, and they have to sit there and go, what do I do? What do I do? Do I still do this, or do I do this? And the ultimate result is that the property tax has to go up because the state, doesn't provide the funding. The same with pilot, payment in lieu of taxes for all the state-owned property. We get less than 25% of the 45% we're supposed to get.
Right.
And if we just got the 45%, how much savings the taxpayer actually get? And the reason why the state gets away with doing that is because the law says, yes, they have to pay the 45%, provided that funding is allocated. And so they just don't allocate it.
And then one final thing that, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but
Sure.
it does have a budgetary impact down the road. Councilor Whalen and I are on that 490
Yes.
task force. And one of the discussions was removing Connecticut Valley and
The
just
River Valley,
River Valley and having just a statewide. So if our values.
that would help. I almost think they almost did that in the last time around because the values are so close together now.
In some respects, but, and that was going to be my question, if we went to the regular state values and they got rid of the valley, how would that impact the assessments? I mean, it would be lower, right, for the 490 landowners? Based on their,
Based on what they reverted to, yes. And I would argue that I understand that Rocky Hill may be in the Connecticut River Valley, but all the a large chunk of our farmland is down in the meadows, and it's not, you know,
It's tillable C and swamp.
yeah. And it's not the prime
Right, so if it did
farmland
revert-
that you have in Windsor and East Windsor and Suffield and all that.
But if
We're
it,
not
yeah,
that.
if it was assessed at tillable A, for example, then.
Right.
But if it reverted to lower rates on the state evaluation, would that be a large impact to our assessment? No, you wouldn't be concerned about.
There's, well, a large chunk of our value, our farmland is in the meadows. What's the value of the meadows when you can't build anything? There, you know, it floods every year, so we're getting ready to flood. I'm sure Mr. Whalen is very familiar with that. You know, the flood should be coming shortly, you know, in April and early May. So, you know, as it is, there's really not, you know, our upland farmland, it would, you know, there's a significant difference in value, but
I mean, if the
overall, in the
values-
grand list, it won't make a big difference for
So if the
us.
values went down 20% across the board, for example, it wouldn't be material because it's so
Right.
low.
Right.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, when you're looking at $1,200 an acre,
yeah.
10% is only $120. Yeah,
Okay,
it's-
I just wanted to put that
yeah.
out there just as something
Yeah.
on your radar because it is being talked
Yeah.
about.
I think I think the state needs to find a better way to value farmland within the state because like here in Rocky Hill, there's no farmland that sells as farmland. I think I don't even recall the last piece in town. And I've been here.
Vacuum. But that was development rights.
Well,
And it's,
right, but it didn't sell as farmland. We bought the development rights.
Right.
So we took away their ability to develop it. I'm just talking about from one farmer to another.
for use.
Right,
versus-
as
yeah.
for farm use. Our land doesn't really, convey that way. So it's, you know, I think the farmers we have, you know, they have their land because they're working farmers. And then the ones that aren't working farmers that have their land in farm, you know, PA 490, you know, they're leasing to the farmers that are out there. You know, that's almost all the meadows, because, you know, I think they want to truly preserve the land for, you know, that's the intended purpose of PA 490 is to preserve the land for the future.
Yeah, part of the discussion too is what, instead of basing it on lease rates, that it's based on
Okay.
PPI, for example.
Yeah, I know in Rocky Hill, we have one farmer that absolutely leases the land at market rate. Everybody else, it's like $1. And even when they lease the property, because if people have parcels of land that are eligible for PA 490, and they're not farmers, but they want to save, I sit there and I point to farmers and say, hey, call this farmer or that farmer. Here they are. See if they'll do it. And then I sit there and say, the contract is going to be only $1 a year because you're getting the benefit. They're doing the work and you're getting the benefit.
Yeah.
And this farmer says, nope, it's going to be a market rate
Well,
transaction.
I think we're going to have that discussion in farmland. We'll have you come in a couple of months, because one of the things I want to talk about, I mean, part of it is communication to landowners in town that both have 490 and could have 490 if they wanted to, but they don't really understand the conveyance issue and stuff like that. So it's not always a good thing.
And I always explain that up front, what the consequences are of classifying it and then changing the use before the time frame's up, and it's 10 years. You know, I always tell them up front, so when it happens, and it's happened recently, they can't say, you didn't tell me, because I make it abundantly clear. Look, if you have any thought of changing the use within 10 years of your For farmland, it's 10 years of ownership, and for forest land, it's 10 years from classification.
So I'm wondering for your budget, if we do have that discussion at farmland about more communication to landowners, because a lot of them probably don't, I mean, some of them I'm sure don't even know about 490, or they have property in the meadows that they may have signed something 30 years ago, transferred ownership, and the new person doesn't know about it.
Oh.
I think there needs to be more communication to landowners and a database kept. So for your current budget, do you need something for more mailings, for example? Because I've seen other towns do mailings from the assessor about 490 and kind of educational things.
Our postage budget comes out of central, I think. If somebody sells a property that's in PA 490, or it transfers, say in probate or whatever, our office does everything we can to notify, we absolutely notify the new owner saying that, hey, your property is being declassified, and hey, by the way, here's an application with it to reclassify it. And we put in the appropriate statutes that says what the timeline is and all that, so that they're aware of what it is. Okay. And then we try and follow up later in the year if they haven't responded.
I just personally think I've reviewed 113 assessor websites in the state, and to see how informational they are about 490. Rocky Hill is on the bottom of the list. We'll go over it. I don't want to spend the time here, but the biggest thing is information. When this 490 thing erupted 4 months ago about the new rates, people didn't know about 490. Because the education just isn't there until something goes wrong.
With the new values, there are several people that reached out to me on what was going to happen in Rocky Hill, and I said we're not changing values until the next revaluation, which is 2028 as scheduled. So it will not affect you until whatever the values are in that
What we
timeframe.
can do is modify the action items of the focus area and add that as a goal to increase communication for farmland 490.
I'd like, I have some letters that were sent out from other towns that I'd like to sit down with.
Sure, I'll be happy to do that.
Stuart and like Mona or something, to just go over, because we shouldn't be, at this point in time, we shouldn't be reactive for all these changes at the state level. There's going to be a lot of changes for this 490 thing. And I just don't think local assessors in the state are up to the task. I really don't. From what I've seen, even farm-friendly towns, just not up to it.
Well, one of the biggest issues we have as assessors right now with the Department of Agriculture and our state legislature, if someone applies for PA 490 right now, and I say, no, you're not farming, all right? And if you're doing anything close to farming, I sit there and say, okay, you're farming, all right? But you got to do something. Can't do nothing. You can't just say I'm farming. No, but they can appeal to the Department of Agriculture and say, hey, the assessor denied me, and not to the Board of Assessment Appeals. And as assessors, there are many assessors out there that are saying, just apply to the Department of Agriculture now. Don't bother with us, because if they're going to tell me, because everything's a farm to them, even if it's not a farm. And it's like, so if they're gonna overrule every assessor because of an opinion, then why should the assessor do the work?
Can they trump you?
Oh, yeah,
That's the law.
absolutely.
Changed, yes.
2 years ago, the law changed, and if somebody doesn't agree with me, they can go to Department of Agriculture, and whatever they decide is what it is. And it's like,
So we could have a slight change to central supplies, depending on, but, I mean, this is a good
contingency.
conversation.
but,
Contingency usually.
when I first got here and 2008 reval came, there was a lot of people that came in to see me, a lot of people that were that had land that were eligible for PA 490 that weren't, and I encouraged them to apply, and they did. So if there's stuff out there that's eligible to be PA 490, you know, I just haven't seen it yet. Because
Well, it's-
I try and find those people.
I mean, the whole premise for 490 is not just farmland, it's just open space too. So we were talking
Right.
about it today at a task force meeting about fallow land.
Well, if you're a farmer, and you have a farm management plan, you can not plant as long as it's in your management plan, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're a farmer, you manage your land, right? I mean, Mr. Straska was very good at that. He would move his planting every year to a different spot. It didn't look like it moved, but he moved it, because why? I went out there every year and looked to see, make sure he was planting. Because everybody in the neighbor complained about him, and it's like, all right, I'll go out and make sure. But he also had a management plan that said, this is what I'm doing, and this is why and he followed it. So just because you don't have anything growing in a particular year doesn't mean you're not farming either. You know, but you just gotta have a plan that says, you know, what the farmers that we have, they're farming and they're tending to their property appropriately. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is some of that information something that could go out when you do the personal property filing in October? Is that something that maybe you can include in that when you send those out to say?
We can
to
send
save
something out in
postage?
October,
Or
in the
September,
personal
yeah.
property declarations to the farmers. The non-farmers though wouldn't get it. You know, the people that have land that are not farming it,
Don't get it.
wouldn't get
Right,
that.
they would-
Only the
But if
farmers
there's
that
at
are
least it
farming.
cuts down somewhat,
But I can,
maybe.
you know, we can come up with something, you know, because the Rocky Hill is 13.9 square miles. You know, and land is precious. And, you know, you have competing interests. The people, the farmers that want to save, you know, preserve the land and be farmers, and then you have the people that want to grow the town's population and the grand list and all that, so, you know, and it's every town, well, not every town, because the cities don't have a lot of this issue,
That's the suburbs.
it's just the suburbs.
Can I go back to a couple budget things?
Any more farm questions
Yeah,
first, though?
No,
I didn't mean to take one.
I don't, and I didn't,
It's
I'm
all
not
right.
saying disrespect, it's good
I got some
information.
things
Good
too.
info, yeah.
Auto values, you know, when they went to that new system where, did you get a lot of appeal requests?
No, wanna know why?
Why?
Because you can't.
No appeal.
You can't appeal condition, you can't appeal mileage, the only thing you can appeal is whether I have the MSRP correct. It's the only thing you can do,
In the MSRP, if they even bought it below, it doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. Nope,
And so did we get a significant increase on that then?
when they first passed the law, yes. And I think we had an increase again this year in motor vehicles. Now, there's a bill with the legislature right now that was proposed, and it was proposed by OPM, the Office of Policy and Management, that the current way is to, you know, it's MSRP less straight line depreciation, and when it hits 20% after 15 years or whatever, it gets to 20% and it stays there. Well, now there's a bill in the legislature that says that all cars that are 20 years old or older will be $500. So that's going to impact us next year.
That would go up.
Now it's going to go down
That would go down.
because all those 20-year-old cars that I have at, you know, you got to remember 20%. You know, a 2005 car, you know, what was the MSRP? 20% of that is more than $500. It's not going to affect
Oh,
those
that's
people.
assessed value,
Yeah.
not property. I apologize.
No, it's the assessed value, not the
okay.
property tax. You know, those cars that are from the 60s and 50s and, you know, all those, it's not going to affect them. It's going to affect all those people that have, you know, the 90s and up. It's going to affect those. It's going to turn their assessment to
So,
$500.
for valuation purposes, it's just gonna be 500 times the mill rate,
Yeah.
$150,
So,
whatever. Okay.
without, like this year is what, 30.24, so it'll be $15
right.
and, 12 cents.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but just so you know, if you want to know things that happen in the legislate that impact you, there's one right there, that law.
Yeah.
It's going to affect the grand list. And it's nothing I can do because I voiced my opinion, as a taxpayer, but I also raised the concern as the assessor to your legislators. But it's going to pass because it's buried in a bill with, a whole bunch of other pages that, it's pass this or all this stuff with this one little line in there that it's going to pass because it's one little line in there. And another little one line in there this year is those that are not honorably discharged and permanently and totally disabled is going to pass this year. So that's going to be another burden that is going to be put on the municipality this coming year. That, I again voiced my opinion, but it's buried in this one big overreaching bill that they're not going to take it out.
Zach, are you taking notes?
I'm hearing, but I'm mindful that these aren't passing out of trying to make it hard on municipalities. There's a legislative intent in changing the law to the $500.
Yep.
Most folks who have a 20-year-old car, that the MSRP would 20% be higher than that. They're not usually the first owner of that car. It's usually a used vehicle, somebody who maybe doesn't make all that much money and is just trying to get by. So I just want us to keep in mind that some of these changes may have some sense to them. As far as the other aspect, you said that it's if they pass it, it would create a write-off for folks who have full disability, et cetera. You're gonna struggle real hard with me to say that that's a bad idea for
Well,
people who have
I'll give you
full
the example.
disability.
I'll give you an example because we have it right here in Rocky Hill. We have 100% permanent and totally disabled veteran.
Don't do that. Yeah, not an individual person.
No, it's no name, just one person.
It could get a little.
That was discharged not honorably. So, but it's far-reaching.
Maybe, I don't need any more on the question.
What's the difference in buying a used car, by the way? I gotta. It's still the 20%, it's still taken off the MSRP, whether you bought it used or new.
Yes, but then when it hits 20 years this year, and
Right, no, I get that.
it'll be
but-
$500.
Okay, yeah. Grand list growth, right? Outside of the reval, right? That's always a surge, right?
Not always, but
Well, true,
Generally.
not always, generally. Certainly the last one, right? You still got some scars, probably. What is your goal per year as the assessor, the growth in the grand list? What do you think's a healthy increase in a grand list to keep it down?
okay.
We're
I'll
asking
give you
ancillary
the
questions,
answer.
so that's an ancillary question.
My responsibility is not to grow the grand list.
I understand that, and I'm.
My responsibility is to fair and equitably assess everybody.
Yep,
And then the grand list comes out based on what gets developed in town. And that goes through your land use and your building department.
okay, so you do not, and I'm just asking an opinion, like you've given a few, that what would you like to see? Again, you're not gonna purposely raise a grand list, because you can't, that would be unethical.
Right.
But I guess I'm just going back to my question, are we lagging behind other towns, our grand list? Are we exceeding or leading other towns? Do you own any of that information?
My
Outside
life
the
is
eval,
easier when the grand list grows.
Yeah,
And the higher it grows and the more it grows, the easier my life is.
right, ours too.
Right. But, Rocky Hill is 13.9 square miles. There's only so much you can do here, right? And there's only so many people willing to give up their land for development, right? But there's a lot of change out there. People doing renovations to their house, they're doing additions, they're doing all kinds of things that, that we'll capture. The most important statistic, if you want to compare one municipality to another, is don't compare mill rates.
Correct.
Because it's not relevant, because it's all based on when the revaluation was and all this.
Yeah, they're not on the same
You know,
barometer.
and even Weathersfield, they did revaluation in 2024, but they're doing a phase-in and, so you can't compare the mill rate because they're artificially offsetting things. Look at the effective tax rate. The effective tax rate, okay? It's what percentage of the property value is paid in property tax. Right now, currently, anything below 2 is excellent. If you get to Hartford, Waterbury, New Haven, Bridgeport, they're going to be up 3.5%, because they have a lot of stressors and they have they have a lot of things going on, and it tends to be high.
Sure.
Rocky Hill's effective tax rate right now is 1.6%. And I monitor that monthly through our sale assessment ratio and our mill rate. All right, so, with the passage of this budget, it's going to change. But you'll find that if you look in all the neighboring towns, our effective tax rate is lower than, for the most part, all of them.
And I would have thought that, by the way, but,
Yeah.
okay.
Because the town is very well run. It does a lot of things that I wish my town did. The efficiencies here are superb because just like you guys here, I have a town council and I go visit them and I say, hey, why aren't we doing this? Rocky Hill does this, why can't we do this?
How do you know Rocky Hill does? No, I'm joking.
No, they know I am now. But I sit there and say, the one thing I can say in my 21 years here, you guys embracing technology, you guys embrace change. And as staff, we accept those things and we try and do the best we can with the resources given. We do, because we're charged with it by our leaders and by you. Hey, that's all you talked about tonight, is how can you do it better, more efficiently? And that's what we get charged with every day. How can we find a better way to do it? And we look for those things all the time. But we're supported when we do those things. Whereas my town, they'll sit there and they'll go, oh, that's changed, we can't do that. I'm like, so, but the effective tax rate is the most important measure because it takes into account the current taxation of a property based on its value. And our effective tax rate right now is 1.6%. And if it's anything below 2, you're doing very well. And I'll tell you, just 4 years ago, it was 2.2%. So, so people's taxes have gone up, yes, but their property values have gone up even more. So if you're looking at just a statistic to really look at, that is the best statistic to look at when you're comparing taxes to property value. And everybody across the whole country is feeling the property value increase that Rocky Hill has felt. There's no, there's changes in the market in other places, and the growth in values has slowed considerably, but it's still there. And
Stuart, is there a correlation between if the mill rate went up 1, then the effective tax rate goes down to, like, in our case, 1.5, for example?
no, because if you move the mill rate at this point up, if property values don't go up, then the effective tax rate will go up.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So if it was a flat mill, if there's no change in the mill rate, it would just stay at 1.6?
No, if you left the mill rate the same, the effective tax rate will go down because property values are still going up.
Got it, okay.
We still have to adhere to the 2-year-ago val, that's why.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're basing the home values on the reval, not on a
For
rolling
assessment and
basis.
taxation, but not for the calculation of the effective tax rate.
Okay.
we take the current sale price, we come up with the sale assessment ratio, so we take the assessment divided by the current sale price, get a ratio, a decimal, and then we multiply it by the mill rate, and it gives us the effective tax rate. But I keep track of that monthly, so I know where property values are going.
You got any idea of how much it's gone up since the last reval? Already?
Property values?
Yeah.
20%.
Yeah.
That's since the last.
The
3 years ago.
just the Greater Hartford Association of Realtors came out with the year-over-year increase, the March's numbers, it was up 11% year-over-year
Yeah.
in sale prices.
But again, that's only for me, what has sold here,
Yeah.
you know. And I break it down by single-family houses and condos, so I separate it. And then commercial property and things like that, so.
I did have one other question, and it's, what's your opinion on the phased system like Weathersfield has in terms of after a reeval, how they step up the tax rate over time rather than having that immediate hit? Do you have an opinion on that?
Sure. It's awful.
Okay, sure.
You know why?
A little more, yeah, I'd appreciate a little bit
Okay.
more than just that.
So, well, no.
No, it's fair.
The
It's fair.
facts.
I just want to hear what you think.
Okay, so, from what I understand, I think I probably have a good understanding of Weathersfield, because, you know, I know the guy who's the assessor there.
It's
Just
like
a little
it's a
bit.
family business. Yeah.
You know, I've known him my whole life. He can't say that, but I can. He's considerably older. But anyway, the phase-in was only given to those whose properties increased. So if your property stayed the same or went down, because every revaluation has those properties, you know, every property, you know, neighborhoods change at different rates. So the only people that benefited from the phase-in are those that their value increased. Anybody whose value stayed the same or went down did not benefit from that phase-in.
But wouldn't that only be
Was it a
commercial
harm to them?
properties right now or something though?
With every revaluation, there's properties that go up, stay the same, and go down. I'm sure there might not be a lot of property that stayed the same or went down, but in this case, you know, the commercial properties, if they stayed the same and went down, you know, but it shifts the burden to a different type of property or different category of properties.
Okay.
You know, all you're doing is delaying the inevitable. And then it puts a really high tax on the staff in the assessor's office to calculate it every year.
Got it. Loud and clear. Okay.
Last thing.
Sure.
Um,
I got all night.
I don't think everybody here does. We talked earlier with the tax collector about just the idea around capturing vehicles that aren't registered in town and not getting taxed appropriately, or, you know, any thoughts about that, or
Sure.
do you have any follow-up thoughts based on
Well,
what
we
they were?
talked recently about that. There's several ways. You know, the company that the cities use is not a very friendly company. Every once in a while, they'll find somebody from Rocky Hill's car in their municipality, and they'll try and tax it for 3 years, and I do my best to help that taxpayer out to say, hey, no, they really belong here. And sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. But we talked about a plan we try and find all the ones. If it's registered to the state of Connecticut, it's really hard to find whether it belongs here or not. But we talked about a plan to capture that. But if it's registered out of state, you know, we take note, we take a picture, and we go out and visit several times and take pictures, and then we send them an assessment notice. You know,
Yeah, because it's easy to spot those because they have an out-of-state plate, but
Yeah.
to capture somebody who's registered in
but,
Bloomfield or something would be.
We had over $1 million in assessment from cars registered to Kelson Road this year on October 1st. So, you know, when you know, they might move from town to town, from apartment to apartment, when their registration renews, they update their address. Because, you know, they'll get pulled over by the police officer. Oh, your car's not registered. Oh, I didn't get the renewal notice. Well, it went to where you
Yeah,
used
it
to
went to
live.
the old address.
You know, so we catch them, we'll catch them that way. And then they'll come in and we'll see it, and then we'll make the adjustment, appropriate adjustments then. But we talked about a plan to capture those that are registered in Connecticut, but not to the town of Rocky Hill. That'll hopefully be less resource intensive.
And in the revenue side, there was a big decrease in personal property this year for assessment, correct? Was it personal property that was down this year?
Yeah, could be.
Thought so.
A few years ago.
Was that?
CT.
Yeah, that was all related to basically one.
Yeah, because Eversource a few years ago had a big investment in changing their power lines and their infrastructure here, and they get depreciation.
Okay.
And it's 10% every year.
CT Pharma.
And CT Pharma also,
They claimed
the
an
last couple
exemption,
years
but they didn't last year.
the last 2 years they did, and this year they did.
Okay.
They were they were upset that they weren't getting it the previous 2 years, but I did everything I could to get them to file, and they didn't. And the cost of that is you don't get the exemption. This year, the person came in and saw me personally instead of me trying to call Chicago.
And
Because
then-
the people here take a piece of paper and they just set it aside and didn't get to Chicago. So. But that really hurt our personal property assessments as well.
Anybody else? Anything? All right. Thank you, Stuart.
Thanks, Stuart.
And then, anybody have any other final things before we adjourn this evening? No?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.